don't care what anyone thinks. She's carrying my baby." The hospital corridor fell deathly silent as Adrian Hayes, billionaire CEO and one of the city's most eligible bachelors, made this shocking declaration. Staff members froze mid-step, mouths agape. But Adrian wasn't finished. He pulled pregnant nurse Olivia Chen close, his hand protectively on her swollen belly. "The next person who spreads lies about the woman I love will not only lose their job, they'll never work in healthcare again." No one had seen it coming. The abandoned, pregnant nurse and the powerful CEO. It was the scandal of the year at Pinecrest Memorial Hospital. But the truth behind their unlikely love story was far more extraordinary than anyone could have imagined. Just 2 months earlier, Olivia had been sobbing alone in a hospital supply closet, abandoned and mocked by the very man who had promised to love her forever. "That's quite enough." The temperature in the hallway seemed to drop several degrees as Adrian Hayes' voice cut through the gossip, cold as ice and twice as dangerous. Olivia's hand flew to her mouth to stifle a gasp. "Mr. Hayes," Dr. Wade stammered, "we were just spreading malicious gossip about one of the most dedicated healthcare professionals in this hospital." "Yes, I heard." Through the crack in the door, Olivia could see Adrian's tall figure, his normally warm eyes now hard with anger as he confronted her tormentors. "Sir, we meant no disrespect, but you should know—" "What I know," Adrian cut in, "is that Olivia Chen works tirelessly for her patients while enduring unwarranted cruelty from colleagues who should know better. What I know is that she has never asked me for anything besides respect." Welcome to Mr. Ross' Story Trail, where true stories touch hearts and change lives. I'm Mr. Ross, and today's story will take you on an emotional journey of judgment, abandonment, and unexpected love. If you've ever been judged unfairly or faced cruel rumors, this story will speak directly to your heart. The journey of Olivia Chen shows us how quickly people jump to conclusions without knowing the full truth. Hit subscribe right now to join our storytelling family and never miss another life-changing tale. Your support means everything to this channel. Thank you to all my loyal viewers for returning to another episode. And if you're new here, you've picked a perfect story to start with. On this channel, we explore real human experiences that teach us valuable lessons about compassion, integrity, and seeing beyond appearances. Today's story reveals how a pregnant nurse abandoned by her baby's father faced mockery and judgment at work, only to find unexpected love with a wealthy CEO who saw her true worth. But their path to happiness would face numerous obstacles, beginning with the very scene you just witnessed. As we dive into Olivia's journey, remember that sometimes life's most painful moments lead us exactly where we're meant to be. Let's return to where it all began, 6 months earlier, when Olivia Chen was simply a dedicated nurse with no idea how dramatically her life was about to change. Olivia Chen grew up in a modest 2-bedroom apartment on the east side of town, the only child of Chinese immigrants who worked double shifts to give her opportunities they never had. Her father, Lin Chen, operated a small grocery store 7 days a week, while her mother, May, cleaned offices at night and served as a home health aide during the day. "Education is your freedom," her mother would say, massaging her aching feet after 16-hour workdays. This mantra became Olivia's guiding light through childhood. At 8 years old, Olivia experienced the moment that would shape her future. Her grandmother, who lived with them, suffered a stroke. Young Olivia watched in awe as nurses transformed her grandmother's care experience from frightening to comforting. They were like angels, Olivia later told friends. They knew exactly what to do, what to say. They treated Grandma with such dignity. While her grandmother eventually recovered, the impression those nurses made never faded. Olivia began devouring medical books from the library, transforming her bedroom into a makeshift hospital for her stuffed animals, complete with hand-drawn charts and cotton ball bandages. Her parents noticed. Despite their limited resources, they funneled every extra dollar into a college fund for their determined daughter. By the time Olivia graduated high school, she had already accumulated college credits through advanced placement courses and weekend community college classes. She worked weekends at her father's store, saving every penny toward her dream. Accepted into the nursing program at State University, Olivia approached her studies with relentless dedication. While other students complained about the grueling schedule, Olivia thrived under pressure. "Chen seems to run on some alternative fuel source," her microbiology professor commented. "I've never seen someone so energized by learning." Clinical rotations revealed Olivia's natural talent. Her technical skills were precise, but her true gift lay in patient communication. She could calm anxious patients with a few well-chosen words and a gentle touch. "You have healing hands," an elderly patient told her during her pediatric rotation, not just for bodies but for hearts too. Graduating with honors, Olivia faced multiple job offers. She chose Pinecrest Memorial Hospital for its reputation in patient care and community outreach programs. The decision would alter the course of her life in ways she could never have predicted. Olivia's first year at Pinecrest tested her limits. As a new nurse on the medical surgical floor, she faced the typical challenges: demanding physicians, critically ill patients, and the emotional toll of witnessing suffering. First year separates the lifers from the temporary visitors, nurse manager Diana Patel told her during orientation. "We'll see which one you are." Diana, a 20-year veteran with an intimidating reputation and a heart of gold, became Olivia's unofficial mentor. Tough but fair, Diana pushed Olivia to excellence while providing guidance through difficult cases. By her second year, Olivia had earned the respect of even the most demanding doctors. Her meticulous attention to detail caught medication errors before they reached patients. Her intuition about subtle changes in patient conditions prevented countless complications. "Chen has the best instincts on the floor," became a common refrain among the medical staff. By year 3, new nurses were being sent to shadow her. By year 4, she was training recent graduates. Her patient satisfaction scores consistently ranked among the highest in the hospital. "You make this place better," Diana told her during a performance review. "Patients request you by name. That doesn't happen for most nurses." Beyond Diana, Olivia found allies throughout the hospital. There was James from respiratory therapy, whose quick humor lightened the heaviest shifts. Emma from social work, who shared Olivia's passion for patient advocacy. Dr. Kaplan, the kind cardiologist who treated every staff member with the same respect he showed his colleagues. Together, they formed a tight-knit group that gathered for monthly potluck dinners, holiday celebrations, and occasional hiking trips. "We're family by choice," Emma often said. "The kind who understand what it means to hold someone's life in your hands." This support system became crucial as Olivia advanced in her career. When she implemented a new patient education protocol that reduced readmission rates, her friends celebrated her success. When she lost her first patient, a 16-year-old car accident victim, they surrounded her with silent strength as she processed her grief. Not everyone appreciated Olivia's rising star, however. Dr. Wade, a surgeon known for his technical skill and terrible bedside manner, seemed to take personal offense at her growing influence with patients. "Nurses should know their place," he muttered after a patient questioned his treatment plan based on information Olivia had provided. His nursing allies, a small group led by Veronica Mills, followed his lead, creating an undercurrent of tension that Olivia did her best to ignore. Outside the hospital, Olivia built a life centered on balance and simple pleasures. Her one-bedroom apartment became a peaceful haven decorated with plants, books, and photographs from her hiking trips. Weekends often found her exploring forest trails, camera in hand, capturing the natural beauty that refreshed her spirit after intense hospital shifts. Dating had never been a priority. Brief relationships fizzled when partners couldn't understand her dedication to her patients or her irregular hours. "You care more about strangers than you do about me," her last boyfriend had complained before they parted ways. "They're not strangers to me," Olivia had replied, realizing in that moment they would never understand each other. At 28, Olivia felt content with her choices. She had meaningful work, true friends, and enough time for her hobbies. Romance could wait until the right person came along, someone who would understand that her capacity for caring was not a limited resource to be jealously guarded, but an essential part of who she was. Then came her friend Lisa's wedding, where she was assigned to table 7 as a bridesmaid. The seating chart placed her directly across from a charming pharmaceutical sales representative named Nathan Rivera, whose attentive gaze and easy smile caught her off guard. "You're Olivia, right?" he asked, refilling her champagne glass. "Lisa's told me so much about you. I've been looking forward to meeting the famous nurse who apparently saves lives before doctors even realize they're in danger." His warm brown eyes held genuine interest as he spoke. For the first time in years, Olivia felt that unique flutter of possibility. She had no way of knowing that this moment, this seemingly perfect meeting, would lead to both her greatest heartbreak and her most unexpected joy. "May I have this dance?" The wedding reception was in full swing when Nathan Rivera extended his hand to Olivia. His confident smile and perfectly tailored suit made him stand out among the other guests. "I'm not much of a dancer," Olivia admitted. "Neither am I," Nathan confessed with a disarming laugh. "But I'll look better failing next to someone as beautiful as you." That self-deprecating charm broke through Olivia's usual reserve. One dance turned into 3, then into hours of conversation at their shared table. Nathan listened intently as she described her work at Pinecrest, asking thoughtful questions that showed genuine interest. "Most people's eyes glaze over when I talk about nursing," Olivia said. "I find passion attractive," Nathan replied, "and you clearly love what you do." As a pharmaceutical sales representative, Nathan understood enough medical terminology to follow her stories. By the time he walked her to her car at midnight, Olivia had already agreed to dinner the following weekend. "I think I just met someone special," she texted Emma after reaching home. "About time," came the immediate response. Nathan pursued Olivia with an intensity that swept her off her feet. Thoughtful text messages throughout her shifts, surprise lunch deliveries to the hospital, weekend trips to nearby towns, expensive restaurants where he was always greeted by name. "He's too good to be true," Diana commented when Nathan sent a massive bouquet to the nurse's station for Olivia's birthday. Within 2 months, Nathan had practically moved into her apartment. His clothes occupied half her closet. His expensive coffee maker replaced her humble drip brewer. His presence transformed her quiet home into a livelier space filled with impromptu dinner parties for his large circle of friends. "We're a power couple," he declared one evening, pulling her into his lap. "You save lives. I supply the medications that help you do it. We're unstoppable together." Olivia found herself caught up in his vision of their future, one filled with success, adventure, and partnership. When he suggested she consider pharmaceutical nursing to advance her career, she briefly entertained the idea, despite her love for direct patient care. "You could double your salary," he pointed out. "We could afford that downtown loft I showed you." 6 months into their relationship, subtle cracks began to appear. Nathan's charm dimmed when plans didn't go his way. His generosity came with expectations of gratitude that sometimes felt excessive. When Olivia missed a dinner with his colleagues due to a patient emergency, his disappointment curdled into something darker. "You could have found someone to cover," he argued. "This was important to me." "A 19-year-old was coding," Olivia explained. "There wasn't time." "There's never time when it's about my career," he muttered. These moments passed quickly, buried under apology gifts and renewed affection, but they accumulated in Olivia's subconscious like small deposits in a worrying account. More telling was Nathan's reaction to her friends. He found reasons to skip her potluck gatherings. He made cutting remarks about Diana's matronly appearance. He questioned why Olivia maintained friendships with people who would never move up in the world. "They're important to me," she insisted. "I just want what's best for you," he would counter, making her doubt her own judgment. Most concerning was his reaction when a patient's grateful family invited Olivia to their holiday celebration. "These people aren't your family," Nathan snapped. "You need to establish boundaries." The comment stung because it struck at the heart of why Olivia had become a nurse, the human connection that transcended professional roles. Yet she pushed these concerns aside, focusing instead on the future Nathan painted so vividly: international travel, a beautiful home, eventually children when the timing was right. The missed period didn't concern Olivia initially. Her demanding schedule often affected her cycle, the persistent nausea she attributed to a hospital virus making rounds among staff. When Emma pointed out that she'd been under the weather for 2 weeks straight, Olivia finally purchased a pregnancy test during her lunch break. 2 pink lines appeared so quickly it seemed they'd been waiting to announce themselves. Olivia stared at the plastic stick, emotions colliding inside her, shock, fear, and underneath it all, a surprising thread of joy. Nathan was due back from a sales conference that evening. Olivia prepared his favorite meal, her mind racing with how to share the news. They discussed children as a distant future plan. This acceleration would require adjustment, but surely they would face it together. When Nathan arrived, he brought the scent of airport terminals and expensive cologne. His kiss was distracted as he dropped his luggage in the entryway. "I'm being considered for regional sales director," he announced, pouring himself a whiskey. "It would mean more travel initially, but a substantial pay increase." "That's wonderful," Olivia said, her hand unconsciously moving to her still flat stomach. "I have news too." Something in her tone made Nathan pause, glass halfway to his lips. "What kind of news?" Olivia took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant." The silence that followed stretched until it became its own presence in the room. Nathan's expression shifted from confusion to calculation to something Olivia had never seen before: cold assessment. "How did this happen?" he finally asked. "We were careful." "No contraception is 100% effective," Olivia replied, medical training steadying her voice. "But it did happen. We're going to have a baby." Nathan set down his glass and walked to the window. His back to her, he asked, "Are you keeping it?" The question felt like ice water. Yes, I want this child." "That's not what we planned, Liv." His voice hardened. "My career is at a critical point. The regional position requires travel, networking, flexibility." "Plans change," Olivia said. "We can make this work." Nathan spent the night in their bed but might as well have been miles away. The next morning he left early for meetings. This pattern repeated for 3 days as Olivia's worry deepened. On the fourth night, she returned from work to find Nathan packing his clothes. "What are you doing?" she asked, though the answer was painfully obvious. "Being honest," he replied without looking up. "I'm not ready for this, not with my career trajectory." "So you're just leaving? Just like that?" Nathan finally met her eyes. "I never promised you forever, Olivia. We had fun, but this baby changes everything. I can't be tied down right now." "Tied down?" Olivia repeated. "This is your child we're talking about. A child I never agreed to have." He zipped his suitcase with finality. "I'll send money if that's what you're worried about." "I don't want your money," Olivia whispered. "I thought I knew you." Nathan shrugged, already moving toward the door. "Maybe you saw what you wanted to see." His parting words cut deeper than any scalpel. "I'm not ready to be a father. You're on your own with this one." The door closed with a soft click that belied the devastation it left behind. Olivia sank to the floor, arms wrapped around her middle, protecting the tiny life growing within her, a life that would now know only one parent's love. This story is just beginning, friends. Olivia's world has been shattered by the man she thought loved her. Abandoned while carrying his child, she now faces an uncertain future alone. If you're feeling for Olivia and want to support her through this journey, hit that like button right now. Your engagement helps stories like hers reach others who might need to hear that even our darkest moments can lead to unexpected light. Stay with us as Olivia's remarkable journey continues. The best parts of her story are still waiting to unfold. Olivia woke the next morning with swollen eyes and a hollowed-out feeling in her chest. Nathan's empty side of the bed mocked her with its neatly arranged pillows and cold sheets. For 5 minutes, she allowed herself to cry. 5 minutes of raw grief before responsibility called. "You can do this," she told her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Her face was pale, but her eyes held steady as one hand rested on her abdomen. "We can do this." She called Diana Patel that morning, requesting a private meeting before her shift. In Diana's small office, with its perpetually overflowing inbox and family photos, Olivia disclosed her situation without embellishment. "I'm pregnant. The father has left. I'll need to adjust my schedule in about 7 months, but until then I can work normally." Diana's expression shifted from surprise to concern to fierce protectiveness within seconds. "Do you need anything? Financial help? Someone to talk to?" "Just your understanding," Olivia replied, "and discretion for now." Diana nodded. "You'll have both. And Olivia, you're stronger than you realize. This won't break you." Those words became Olivia's mantra in the weeks that followed. Each morning she repeated them as she prepared for work. Each night she whispered them to her growing child as she lay in bed. "This won't break you. This won't break us." By week 14, Olivia's condition became difficult to conceal beneath her scrubs. The subtle curve of her abdomen generated curious glances from colleagues. Questions disguised as casual conversation emerged during lunch breaks. "Are you seeing anyone special, Olivia? Is that a new glow you're sporting? You've changed your diet recently, haven't you?" Olivia fielded these inquiries with professional deflection until the morning she experienced a dizzy spell during patient rounds. Dr. Kaplan noticed her steadying herself against a wall and guided her to a chair. "When did you last eat?" he asked quietly. "Breakfast," she answered, embarrassed by the attention. "And what's your current week count?" The cardiologist's kind eyes held no judgment. Olivia hesitated, then whispered, 14. He nodded. "My wife had terrible morning sickness until week 20. Take 5 minutes, eat something, then continue your rounds. And Olivia, congratulations." Word spread through the hospital with lightning speed after that. By lunchtime, the questions became statements. "I heard you're expecting. How wonderful. When are you due? Summer baby, right? Who's the lucky father?" This last question, inevitable yet painful, required a ready answer. Olivia chose simplicity over details. "I'm raising the baby on my own." Initial reactions of support gradually gave way to speculation as weeks passed. Hospital corridors hummed with theories about Nathan's absence. Some were sympathetic, perhaps he'd died, or was deployed overseas. Others were less charitable. "Must have been a one-night stand," a lab technician suggested loudly enough for Olivia to overhear. "Maybe she doesn't know who the father is," came another whisper from behind a supply cart. Dr. Wade, who had never hidden his disdain for Olivia's growing influence with patients, became the unofficial conductor of this gossip orchestra. His remarks, always carefully timed for maximum impact, fed the rumor mill. "Professional standards certainly have changed," he commented during a staff meeting when Olivia presented updated patient education materials. "Some might question the moral example being set." Though no one directly acknowledged his meaning, the uncomfortable shifting of chairs spoke volumes. Diana shot him a withering glare. but hospital politics protected his position. The cruelty escalated when Olivia reached her 20th week. After completing a difficult patient transfer, she paused at the nurse's station to document the procedure. Dr. Wade approached with 2 residents in tow. "Nurse Chen," he said, voice carrying deliberately, "you seem short of breath. Perhaps you should consider taking leave earlier than planned. Patient safety must come first." "My pregnancy doesn't affect my capabilities, Dr. Wade," Olivia replied evenly. "My vitals and energy levels are closely monitored by my obstetrician." "Of course," he smiled coldly. "I suppose single motherhood provides excellent preparation for divided attention." Later that day, Olivia found a pamphlet for adoption services tucked into her locker. No name, no note, just the glossy paper with its smiling families promising better lives for unwanted children. She crumpled it into the trash without a word. As her pregnancy progressed, Olivia found herself increasingly alone. Work friends who had once invited her to weekend outings now made excuses about not wanting to tire her out. Lunch tables that had welcomed her now filled quickly with colleagues who avoided eye contact. Not everyone abandoned her. Diana remained steadfast. Emma from social work made a point of checking in regularly. Dr. Kaplan ensured she had adequate breaks during long shifts, but the wider hospital community had subtly withdrawn, as if single motherhood might be contagious. Olivia's apartment, once filled with Nathan's energy and friends, now echoed with silence. She filled this silence by talking to her unborn child, playing classical music, and reading aloud from medical journals and children's books alike. "We're a team now," she told her growing belly. "Just us." Yet in quiet moments, fear crept in. How would she manage childcare with her shifts? Could she afford the apartment alone? What would she do if complications arose? The questions multiplied at night, robbing her of rest and leaving dark circles beneath her eyes. On particularly difficult days, she would stand in what had been Nathan's closet, now emptied of his designer clothes, and allow herself to feel the full weight of abandonment. 5 minutes of grief, then back to planning and preparing. This pattern sustained her until the morning she overheard 2 night shift nurses discussing her in the locker room. "Can you believe Chen is keeping it? With her schedule and no father? Selfish, if you ask me. That child deserves 2 parents. Well, you know what they say. Nurses make terrible mothers anyway. Always putting patients first." Olivia stepped into view, her 24-week belly preceding her. The nurses froze, mortified at being caught. "For the record," Olivia said quietly, "this child will have all the love it needs, and my patients will continue receiving excellent care. The 2 aren't mutually exclusive." She closed her locker and left, head high but heart aching. While colleagues whispered and judged, Olivia's patients offered unexpected sanctuary. Mrs. Rodriguez, an elderly regular with chronic heart failure, noticed Olivia's pregnancy during a routine checkup. "A baby! What wonderful news!" she exclaimed, patting Olivia's hand. "When is the little one due?" "July," Olivia replied, bracing for the inevitable follow-up about the father. Instead, Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. "My mother raised 5 children alone after my father died in the war. She was the strongest person I've ever known." She squeezed Olivia's hand. "Your child is lucky to have you." This moment repeated itself throughout Olivia's shifts. Mr. Abernathy, recovering from bypass surgery, shared stories of his daughter, a single mother who had put herself through medical school. 10-year-old Lily, battling leukemia, asked if she could feel the baby kick and offered to babysit when I'm better and you need a break. These interactions sustained Olivia through Dr. Wade's cutting remarks and her colleagues' judgment. While preparing medications or checking vital signs, she found herself working with renewed purpose. Each compassionate exchange reminded her why she had become a nurse, to care for people at their most vulnerable, just as she now found herself vulnerable. During a particularly challenging shift, when a coding patient had been successfully stabilized through Olivia's quick action, Dr. Kaplan pulled her aside. "You know, Chen, I've watched how you've handled these past months. Lesser nurses would have crumbled under the personal stress, let alone the workplace gossip." Olivia started to dismiss his concern, but he continued. "Your focus hasn't wavered. If anything, your care has deepened. That's rare." He paused. "Whatever else happens, remember this. Your child will grow up watching a mother who faces challenges with grace and helps others through their darkest moments. There's no better inheritance than that example." His words carried her through that night, and many nights after, as her pregnancy advanced and the hospital whispers continued. No matter how sharp Dr. Wade's comments or how isolating the break room became, Olivia found strength in her patient's trust and her growing child's movements. "We have everything we need," she whispered to her belly as tiny feet kicked against her palm. "Each other, and work that matters. The rest will fall into place." She couldn't have known then how dramatically that falling into place would occur, or that the very gossip that wounded her would ultimately lead to an unexpected encounter that would change everything. Adrian Hayes leaned back in his office chair, 40 stories above the city streets. The downtown skyline stretched before him through floor-to-ceiling windows, a view he'd earned through 15 years of relentless innovation and strategic risk-taking. Unlike many in his position, Adrian hadn't inherited his empire. Hayes' innovations began in his parents' garage when he was 22, fresh out of college with an engineering degree and an idea for medical monitoring technology that would cost half as much as existing systems. "You're crazy to compete with the big corporations," his college roommate had told him. Adrian had smiled. The crazy ones changed the world. That first monitoring system caught the attention of a mid-sized hospital group struggling with budget constraints. Within 5 years, Hayes Innovations equipment operated in 30% of American hospitals. By the time Adrian turned 30, the company had expanded into diagnostic technology and preventative care systems. Success hadn't changed Adrian's core principles. He still drove the same luxury sedan he'd purchased after his first major contract. He maintained a modest home outside the city, preferring to invest company profits into research rather than multiple properties. His one indulgence was philanthropic, the Hayes Foundation, which funded healthcare access in underserved communities. "Money is a tool, not a trophy," he often told new employees during orientation. "At Hayes Innovations, we measure success by lives improved, not dollars earned." This philosophy occasionally frustrated his board of directors, particularly when Adrian rejected lucrative contracts that didn't align with his vision of accessible healthcare. Just last month, he turned down a partnership that would have increased profits by 20%, but placed their monitoring systems beyond the reach of smaller hospitals. "We're leaving millions on the table," his CFO had argued, "and keeping our technology available to patients who need it," Adrian countered. "That's our mission statement, not an optional guideline." At 34, business magazines labeled Adrian a healthcare visionary and the compassionate CEO. He found both titles mildly embarrassing but useful for opening doors that typically remained closed to disruptors in the medical industry. Adrian's latest project represented his most ambitious yet, an integrated patient monitoring system that used artificial intelligence to predict complications hours before traditional symptoms appeared. Early trials showed promising results, particularly in detecting sepsis and cardiac events before they became critical. This could revolutionize emergency response, Dr. Marlene Jefferson, his chief medical advisor, had explained during their development meeting. "Intervention time is everything in these cases." Adrian had immediately grasped the potential. "If we can give medical teams even 2 hours of advance warning, we could save thousands of lives annually." The system, dubbed Foresight, was now entering its pilot phase. 5 hospitals across the country had been selected for initial implementation, including Pinecrest Memorial, chosen specifically for its diverse patient population and reputation for clinical excellence. For Adrian, Foresight represented more than a product launch. His father had died from complications following routine surgery, his deterioration so swift that by the time clear symptoms emerged, intervention came too late. "We need to eliminate the too late from healthcare," Adrian told his development team. "Every patient deserves the best possible chance." This personal connection to the project meant Adrian insisted on visiting each pilot site personally. He wanted to see the system in action, speak directly with the medical professionals using it, and gather unfiltered feedback that might not make it into official reports. "The suits from corporate never understand what happens on the front lines," he'd overheard a nurse say during a previous hospital visit. The comment had stuck with him, reshaping his approach to product implementation. As his executive assistant finalized the Pinecrest visit schedule, Adrian made one specific request. "I want time with the actual users, nurses, technicians, not just administrators. And I want to observe the units before the formal meetings. No advance notice, no special preparations." Adrian checked his watch as his driver navigated morning traffic toward Pinecrest Memorial. They were running early, which suited his plans perfectly. "I'll text when I need pickup," he told his driver, straightening his tie as they pulled up to the main entrance. Hospital Administrator Wilson waited in the lobby, hand extended eagerly. "Mr. Hayes, we weren't expecting you for another hour. I prefer to see hospitals as they actually operate, not as they're presented," Adrian replied with a smile that softened the directness of his words. "I hope that's not an inconvenience." "Of course not," Wilson recovered quickly. "We're transparent about our operations. Where would you like to begin?" "Wherever Foresight is currently installed. And please, no announcements about my presence. I want authentic interactions." Wilson led him to the cardiac unit, where nurses and technicians moved with practiced efficiency among monitoring equipment. Adrian observed silently from the doorway, noting how staff interacted with the foresight displays. Most glanced at the system during rounds, but few engaged deeply with its predictive features. "They're still treating it like traditional monitoring," Adrian murmured to Wilson. "The value is in the predictive analytics. It's a learning curve," Wilson explained. "Change takes time in medical settings." They continued to the general medical floor, where Adrian noticed immediately different interactions with the technology. A dark-haired nurse was explaining something to a resident, pointing specifically to the predictive section of the foresight display. "See this pattern? It's flagging potential kidney stress 12 hours before conventional tests would show elevation. We should adjust fluids now, rather than waiting." Adrian moved closer, intrigued by her detailed understanding of the system's capabilities. As she turned to check the patient's IV, he noticed her pregnancy, quite advanced, perhaps 7 months along. Despite her condition, she moved with practiced efficiency, her focus entirely professional. "Who is that nurse?" Adrian asked quietly. Wilson glanced over. "Nurse Chen, one of our best. She seems to grasp the predictive function completely. Chen absorbs new information like a sponge, always first to master new protocols." Adrian watched as she finished with the patient, noting her gentle reassurance and the way she took an extra moment to adjust the elderly man's pillows for comfort. This combination of technical proficiency and genuine compassion was precisely what healthcare technology needed to be effective. "I'd like to speak with her," Adrian decided. Adrian approached as Nurse Chen updated patient notes at the central station. Up close, he noticed details invisible from a distance, the slight shadows beneath her eyes suggesting fatigue, the way she unconsciously rested. One hand on her pregnant belly while typing with the other, the simple gold chain at her neck holding a small lotus pendant. "Excuse me," he said. "I'm Adrian Hayes. I was hoping to get your thoughts on the new monitoring system." She looked up, momentarily startled. Recognition flickered across her face. Not the starstruck recognition he'd grown accustomed to, but simple professional acknowledgement. "Mr. Hayes, of course," she straightened, meeting his gaze directly. "The interface is intuitive, but the alarm sensitivity needs adjustment. We're getting false alerts during patient movement." Adrian raised an eyebrow, impressed by her directness. Most staff offered polite platitudes during his visits, perhaps intimidated by his position or eager to make a good impression. "Most people just tell me how wonderful everything is," he admitted. "Then you're talking to the wrong people," she replied without hesitation. "Patients deserve technology that works flawlessly." A smile tugged at Adrian's lips. "I couldn't agree more, Miss Chen. Olivia Chen. You've been using the predictive features extensively," he observed. "I noticed your explanation to the resident. It's the most valuable aspect of your system," Olivia replied. "Early intervention changes outcomes, but the movement sensitivity issue makes some nurses distrust the alerts. They're starting to ignore warnings. That's precisely the kind of feedback we need. Would you—" A sharp beeping from down the hall interrupted their conversation. Olivia glanced at her monitor, then immediately excused herself. "Room 412. Respiratory distress," she explained, already moving with surprising speed given her pregnancy. Adrian watched as she coordinated the emergency response, calmly directing other staff while initiating protocols. Her pregnant condition seemed irrelevant to her capabilities. If anything, she worked with heightened focus and efficiency. "She's something special," Wilson commented, rejoining Adrian. "Now, about that board meeting." Adrian reluctantly allowed himself to be guided toward the administration wing, his thoughts lingering on the forthright nurse and her obvious dedication. Throughout the technical discussions that followed, he found himself distracted by the brief interaction and the impression Nurse Chen had made. As the visit concluded, Adrian made a detour to the medical floor, but was disappointed to learn she had ended her shift. In the car heading back to his office, he made a note on his phone. Follow up on Pinecrest feedback, particularly from Nurse Chen. Who else thinks Adrian might be exactly what Olivia needs in her life right now? A man who values honesty, recognizes true dedication, and seems genuinely interested in her professional opinions rather than just her appearance? Comment below with your predictions about their next meeting. Will Adrian find a way to see Olivia again? Could this chance encounter lead to something deeper? Hit that like button if you're rooting for Olivia to find happiness after everything she's been through. Subscribe now to make sure you don't miss what happens next in this emotional journey. Friday evenings at Morton's Grocery belonged to Olivia. After grueling hospital shifts, she found unexpected peace in the quiet aisles and familiar routine. At 32 weeks pregnant, these small constants mattered more than ever. Tonight she balanced her shopping basket against her prominent belly, stretching toward the top shelf where jars of olives sat just beyond her reach. Her fingertips brushed the glass, pushing it further away instead of closer. "Allow me," came a deep voice as a hand easily retrieved the jar. "Stocking up on olives?" Olivia turned to thank the stranger, words dying on her lips as recognition dawned. "Mr. Hayes?" Adrian Hayes smiled, looking markedly different in jeans and a casual button-down than in his boardroom attire. His hair was slightly tousled, as if he'd run his hand through it repeatedly. "Nurse Chen, what are the odds?" His eyes crinkled warmly. "Please, it's Adrian." "Thank you," she said, accepting the olives. "And I'm Olivia, though you remembered my name, which is impressive considering how many people you must meet." "Some people are more memorable than others," he replied, then gestured to her basket. "Those cravings hitting hard?" Olivia laughed despite herself. "How did you know?" "The olives with—" He peered into her basket. "Ice cream and pickled jalapenos?" "Classic third trimester combination. Speaking from experience, are you?" she asked, eyebrow raised. Adrian's laugh echoed through the quiet store. "My sister has 3 kids. I've made many emergency craving runs." They moved together toward the produce section, conversation flowing with surprising ease. Adrian selected apples with careful consideration while Olivia gathered spinach for her weekly meal prep. "How's the monitoring system working?" he asked. "Any improvement on those false alarms? Your team made adjustments last week." "It's much better now," she replied, genuinely impressed. "You actually followed up on that feedback." "That's literally my job," Adrian pointed out. "Though most people seem surprised when executives actually listen, because most don't," Olivia countered. Their carts stopped at the checkout line, conversation pausing as they placed items on the conveyor belt. Outside, evening rain had begun to fall, streaking the store windows. "There's a cafe next door," Adrian said suddenly. "Would you like to continue this conversation over coffee? Or tea if you're avoiding caffeine?" Olivia hesitated, one hand unconsciously moving to her belly. "I don't think. Just coffee," Adrian assured her. "I value honest feedback, and you seem like someone who doesn't sugarcoat things." She studied him, finding none of the pity or predatory interest she'd grown accustomed to seeing in men's eyes since her pregnancy began showing. "All right," she decided. 1 cup of tea. The cafe offered a quiet refuge from the intensifying rain. Adrian insisted on carrying Olivia's groceries and secured a corner table while she ordered herbal tea. When he returned from the counter with their drinks, he carried a plate with a chocolate croissant. "I didn't order that," Olivia pointed out. "The baby might be hungry," Adrian said with a straight face. "I'm just being thorough." The unexpected thoughtfulness caught her off guard. "Thank you." Their conversation ranged widely over the next hour. Adrian described the inspiration behind Hayes' innovations, his father's death from preventable post-surgical complications. Olivia shared her journey through nursing school and her passion for patient advocacy. "You really love being a nurse," Adrian observed after she described implementing a patient education program that reduced readmission rates. "I do. It's not always easy, but it matters." She glanced at her watch. "I should get going. Early shift tomorrow." Adrian insisted on helping with her groceries, walking her to her car despite her protests. As they reached her modest sedan, the rain subsided to a gentle mist that caught in her dark hair like tiny crystals. "Thank you for the feedback about our system," Adrian said. "And the company, thank you for the tea." "And the croissant," Olivia replied, suddenly awkward. "And the olive jar rescue." His smile reached his eyes, crinkling the corners. "Perhaps we'll run into each other again." "Perhaps," she echoed, not quite believing it. Yet 3 days later, as she left Pinecrest after a 12-hour shift, she spotted a familiar figure in the hospital cafe, apparently absorbed in reviewing documents. When she paused in surprise, Adrian looked up as if sensing her presence, his face brightening immediately. "Olivia, I was just finishing a follow-up meeting with administration. Have you eaten?" These coincidental meetings continued over the following weeks. Adrian appeared at the park where Olivia took her weekend walks, at the bookstore she frequented, and twice more at Morton's grocery. Each encounter felt natural yet somehow inevitable, as if their paths were meant to cross. Coffee after her shifts became a regular occurrence. Adrian proved an attentive listener and thoughtful conversationalist. He remembered details from previous discussions, her favorite authors, her mother's struggle with early-onset dementia, her dream of someday developing specialized care protocols for non-English-speaking patients. "You should write a formal proposal," he suggested one evening, after she described the language barriers she witnessed daily. "The Hayes Foundation funds initiatives like that." "Are you offering me money, Mr. Hayes?" she asked, half joking. "I'm recognizing a valuable idea when I hear one, Miss Chen," he replied seriously. "Your experience could help thousands of patients." These conversations anchored Olivia during increasingly difficult weeks at work. As her pregnancy advanced, Dr. Wade's remarks grew more cutting, and the whispers more persistent. Adrian's steady friendship offered contrast to this daily gauntlet, hours where her ideas were valued and her condition wasn't a scarlet letter. On a rainy Tuesday evening, they sat in what had become their corner of the cafe. Adrian had just returned from a business trip to Singapore, jet-lagged but insistent on keeping their regular coffee date. "You didn't have to come," Olivia said, noticing the fatigue around his eyes. "You crossed 12 time zones yesterday. I wanted to see you," he replied simply. The directness of his statement hung between them. Olivia stirred her tea, unsure how to respond. "Why?" she finally asked, meeting his gaze. "What do you mean? Why do you keep seeking me out?" "I'm 7 months pregnant, Adrian. Not exactly an ideal social companion." Adrian set down his coffee cup. "Is that really how you see yourself?" "It's how most people see me," she countered. "The abandoned pregnant nurse. A cautionary tale." "That's not who I see," Adrian said quietly. "I see a brilliant healthcare professional with valuable insights. A woman with exceptional strength and compassion. Someone who makes me laugh and think and see the world differently." He leaned forward, his expression earnest. "Your pregnancy doesn't define you, Olivia. It's just one facet of who you are." Olivia blinked rapidly, emotions threatening to overwhelm her composure. No one had spoken to her this way since Nathan's departure, as a complete person rather than a walking circumstance. Most men would run in the opposite direction, she managed. "I'm not most men," Adrian's smile returned, "and I don't scare easily." The moment was interrupted by a text message alert. Olivia checked her phone, then frowned. "Everything okay?" Adrian asked. "My birthing class was canceled. Again," she sighed. "That's the third time. The instructor keeps having scheduling conflicts." Adrian hesitated, then offered, "I could go with you." "When they reschedule." Olivia stared at him. "To a birthing class? You'd sit through hours of breathing techniques and discussions about dilation?" "I've sat through 8-hour budget meetings," he pointed out. Birthing class would be far more educational. His willingness to enter this most intimate aspect of her life, one that even Nathan had rejected, left Olivia speechless. "Think about it," Adrian said gently. "No pressure." As they parted that evening, something fundamental had shifted between them, a recognition of feelings neither had expected to develop. Despite Adrian's consistent presence, Olivia maintained careful boundaries. She shared details about her work readily, but deflected personal questions about her pregnancy or plans for the baby. When he offered to help assemble nursery furniture, she politely declined. "I can manage," became her standard response to any offer of assistance. Diana noticed the change in Olivia's demeanor at work, occasional smiles interrupting her focused expression, texting during breaks, and finally confronted her in the staff lounge. "Who is he?" Diana asked without preamble. "Who is who?" Olivia countered, putting down her phone. "The reason you're glowing, and it's not just pregnancy hormones." Olivia sighed. "It's nothing serious. Just a friend who texts you hourly and makes you smile like that?" Diana raised an eyebrow. "Does this friend have a name?" "Adrian," Olivia admitted. "But it's complicated. Because of your pregnancy? Because of everything. My situation, his position, the timing." Diana sat beside her. "Olivia, you've built walls so high since Nathan left that I'm surprised anyone could see over them." "The walls are necessary," Olivia insisted. "I have to protect myself and my baby. Protection is one thing. Isolation is another." Diana squeezed her hand. "Not everyone will disappoint you like Nathan did." Olivia wanted to believe this was true. Yet each time Adrian moved closer emotionally, she found herself creating distance. When he complimented her, she changed the subject. When conversations turned personal, she redirected to work topics. Adrian noticed but never pushed, respecting her boundaries while gently testing their flexibility. He shared stories about his own life, his parents' loving marriage, his childhood dreams, his fears about measuring up to his father's integrity. These offerings of vulnerability invited reciprocation without demanding it. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Olivia's walls began to lower. She shared memories of her grandmother's influence, admitted her fears about motherhood, confessed her hurt at Nathan's cruel departure. "He said I was on my own with this one," she told Adrian one evening, voice barely above a whisper. "As if our child was an inconvenience rather than a person." Adrian's expression darkened. "Some men don't deserve the title of father. I've accepted that it's just me and the baby now," Olivia said, straightening her shoulders. "We'll be fine on our own." Adrian studied her for a long moment. "You will be. But you don't have to be alone unless you choose to be." On a snowy December evening, as they sat in the cafe watching flakes accumulate outside, Adrian broached a subject that had been building for weeks. The invitation hung in the air between them, clearly different from their casual coffee meetings or accidental grocery encounters. This was deliberate, intentional, public. Olivia set down her tea. "Adrian, I'm 6 months pregnant." "I'm aware," he said gently. "I'm asking you to the symphony, not a marathon. People will talk. Let them." His expression grew serious. "Unless you're concerned about someone else's feelings, the baby's father?" Olivia's laugh held no humor. Nathan made his feelings crystal clear when he walked out. He wanted no part of this baby, or me. Adrian's jaw tightened. "Then he's a fool." "It's more complicated than that," Olivia sighed. "He had dreams, ambitions. A baby wasn't part of the plan." "Plans change," Adrian said simply. "That's life. Running away isn't—" Olivia studied him, this successful man who seemed genuinely interested in her company despite her obvious situation. "Why me, Adrian? You could date anyone. Because in a world of people telling me what they think I want to hear, you tell me the truth." He reached across the table, his hand stopping just short of hers. "The symphony. Say yes." The moment stretched between them, filled with possibility. Olivia considered all the reasons to decline: her advancing pregnancy, the certainty of gossip, the risk of opening her heart again. Yet she found herself responding to the warmth in his eyes, the steadiness he demonstrated over weeks of friendship, the way he saw her as complete rather than lacking. "Yes," she said finally, surprising herself as much as him. "I'd like that." Adrian's smile bloomed across his face, genuine and unreserved. "Saturday at 7 then. I'll pick you up." As they finalized details, snow continuing to fall outside the cafe windows, Olivia felt something she hadn't experienced since before Nathan's departure. Hope, tentative but undeniable, that perhaps her future held more than just survival. What began as a chance encounter in a grocery store had evolved into something neither had anticipated, a connection based on mutual respect, genuine interest, and the possibility that, sometimes, unexpected beginnings lead to the most meaningful journeys. The symphony proved to be just the beginning. Dressed in a flowing navy gown that accommodated her growing belly, Olivia felt a flutter of nerves as Adrian's car pulled up to her apartment building. Those nerves dissolved when he stepped out, his appreciative gaze making her feel beautiful rather than awkward. "You look stunning," he said simply, offering his arm. The evening unfolded like a dream. Private box seats offered both comfort and discretion. The music washed over them, Beethoven's Seventh Symphony, powerful and moving. During the most emotional passage, Adrian's hand found hers in the darkened theater, their fingers intertwining naturally. "Thank you for saying yes," he whispered during intermission. This first official date established a pattern for those that followed. Adrian planned each outing with thoughtful attention to Olivia's condition and interests. A private tour of the botanical gardens, an afternoon at a photography exhibition, dinner at restaurants with comfortable seating and excellent food. Their most meaningful moments, however, came during quieter times. One Sunday morning, Adrian arrived at Olivia's apartment with fresh bagels and decaf coffee. They spent hours on her small balcony, watching the city awaken as they discussed their childhoods, dreams, and philosophies. "My father taught me that wealth creates responsibility rather than privilege," Adrian explained. "He built his company from nothing but never forgot what it was like to struggle." Adrian nodded. "Healthcare inequality killed my father. His community hospital lacked the monitoring systems that would have detected his post-surgical complications earlier. The wealthy hospital across town had them. So you created affordable versions that every hospital could access," Olivia realized. "You're equalizing care." "Trying to," he corrected. "There's still so much work to do." Olivia shared her own driving purpose. The immigrant patients she'd witnessed struggling through medical experiences without adequate translation services. "Healthcare is terrifying enough when you understand what's happening," she explained. "Imagine facing it without comprehending a single word." These conversations revealed their shared values despite different backgrounds. Both believed in making systems work better for vulnerable people. Both valued integrity over expediency. Both saw their professions as callings rather than just careers. One evening, as winter rain tapped against Olivia's windows, they sat reviewing her proposal for multilingual patient education materials. Adrian offered insights from his foundation work, while Olivia contributed clinical perspective. Their collaborative energy felt both productive and intimate, a partnership of minds that hinted at deeper possibilities. When Adrian reached to turn a page, his hand brushed hers. The simple contact sent awareness coursing through them both. Their eyes met, the proposal momentarily forgotten. Adrian leaned forward slowly, giving Olivia time to pull away. She didn't. Their first kiss was gentle, questioning. The second answered with certainty. When they finally parted, Olivia's heart raced with feelings she'd thought permanently buried after Nathan's betrayal. I've wanted to do that for weeks, Adrian admitted, his forehead resting against hers. What took you so long? She whispered back. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I needed you to be sure, to know this isn't temporary for me. And now I hope you know. As Olivia entered her third trimester, preparations for the baby became increasingly urgent. Her modest savings covered essentials, but each purchase required careful budgeting. Adrian noticed her making lists, comparing prices, and postponing certain items. What's still missing from the nursery? He asked casually during one of their dinner dates. Just a few things, Olivia replied vaguely. I'm handling it. The next day, a delivery truck arrived at her apartment. The driver carried in a large box containing the exact crib she'd been saving for, the safest model with adjustable height settings and sustainable materials. When Adrian arrived that evening, Olivia confronted him. You can't buy me a crib. I didn't buy you anything, he responded calmly. I bought something for the baby, different category entirely. Adrian, Olivia, please let me do this. His expression grew serious. You're determined to handle everything alone, and I respect that independence, but caring about someone means wanting to help make their life better. She struggled with his logic. It feels like charity. Would you call it charity if you helped me select medical equipment for the hospital? You'd be sharing your expertise to improve my work. That's different, is it? You have expertise in babies that I lack. I have resources to contribute. We each give what we can. This perspective shift allowed Olivia to accept his assistance, not as charity but as partnership. Together they assembled the crib, Adrian following her directions with good-natured concentration. When the final screw was tightened, they stood back to admire their work. It's perfect, Olivia said softly. Adrian's arms slipped around her waist. The first of many projects we'll build together. The statement hung between them, full of future possibilities neither had explicitly discussed. Their collaborative approach extended to other preparations. Adrian researched car seats while Olivia selected bedding. They painted the nursery together one weekend, Olivia directing from a chair while Adrian handled the actual painting, both laughing as he managed to get more mint green paint on himself than the walls. During a childbirth class that Adrian attended as promised, the instructor asked participants to introduce their support person. This is Adrian, Olivia said. He's my... She paused, uncertain how to define their relationship. I'm her partner, Adrian finished simply, squeezing her hand. The word felt right, encompassing both their personal connection and their approach to the coming challenge. Partners equals bringing different strengths to a shared journey. After class, Adrian helped Olivia practice comfort positions, his strong hands supporting her through breathing exercises. The intimacy of these moments, his body cradling hers, their breath synchronizing, created a bond beyond romance. They were preparing for battle together, for the intensity of bringing new life into the world. Will you be there? Olivia asked one evening as they reviewed the birth plan. In the delivery room? Adrian looked surprised. Do you want me there? Yes, she admitted, but it's asking a lot. He kissed her forehead gently. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. The deepening relationship between Olivia and Adrian didn't go unnoticed at Pinecrest. When his luxury sedan began appearing in the hospital parking lot at the end of her shifts, people noticed. When flowers arrived at the nurse's station, rumors multiplied. Did you see who's waiting for Chen? Became a common whisper. The billionaire himself. Some colleagues expressed genuine happiness for Olivia. Diana Patel beamed with approval when introduced to Adrian. Dr. Kaplan made a point of telling him, she's extraordinary. Don't mess this up. Others viewed the relationship with cynicism. Veronica Mills remarked loudly in the break room, some girls have all the luck. Gets knocked up by one guy, snags a billionaire before she even delivers. These comments reached Olivia through hospital gossip channels. Though she maintained professional composure, each barb stung. Dr. Wade proved particularly venomous. During a staff meeting where Olivia presented updated patient care protocols, he interrupted repeatedly with pointed references to her divided focus and impending maternal leave. Perhaps we should table Nurse Chen's proposals until she returns from maternity leave, he suggested with false concern. Hormones can affect judgment, after all. Before Olivia could respond, another voice cut through the room. I'd be interested to see the peer-reviewed evidence for that claim, Dr. Wade, said Dr. Kaplan mildly. Especially since Nurse Chen's protocols are based on 6 months of data showing improved patient outcomes. The room fell silent. Dr. Wade's face reddened. Furthermore, Dr. Kaplan continued, her proposal includes implementation strategies during her absence. Quite thorough, actually. Dr. Wade retreated, but his resentment intensified. When the news of Olivia's relationship with Adrian became common knowledge, his comments took a new direction. Quite the social climber, he remarked to his surgical team. From abandoned mother to CEO's girlfriend in record time. These comments inevitably reached Adrian through his hospital contacts. Though he wanted to confront Dr. Wade directly, Olivia insisted on handling workplace issues herself. "This is my professional reputation," she explained. "I need to manage it my way." Adrian respected her boundaries but struggled watching her endure the gossip. "You've done nothing wrong," he insisted. "Dating isn't a crime. Dating the CEO who supplies hospital equipment raises questions," Olivia countered pragmatically. "People wonder if I'm using you for financial security or career advancement." "And are you?" Adrian asked, his tone making clear the absurdity of the question. Olivia's smile was sad. "According to hospital gossip, I planned the entire pregnancy as an elaborate trap for wealthy men. That's ridiculous. Of course it is. But people prefer scandalous explanations to simple ones." "And what's the simple explanation?" Her expression softened. "That two people found each other when they weren't looking and discovered something worth keeping." Despite the growing closeness with Adrian, Olivia battled internal doubts. Late at night, lying awake with her active baby performing gymnastics in her womb, questions plagued her. Was Adrian genuinely interested in her or caught up in rescue fantasy? Would his feelings change once the reality of a newborn, with colic, sleepless nights, and endless demands, replace the romantic notion of helping a pregnant woman? Most worrying, was she setting herself up for another devastating abandonment? These fears manifested in subtle ways. She maintained her apartment lease renewal despite Adrian suggesting she consider moving to his larger home eventually. She continued saving emergency funds despite his generous gifts. She kept certain parts of her heart carefully guarded. Adrian noticed these hesitations. One evening, as they sat reviewing pediatricians, Olivia having refused his offer to connect her with the city's most exclusive practice, he gently confronted her resistance. "You don't fully trust this, do you?" he asked, setting aside the list. "Us." Olivia looked away. "I'm trying. What are you afraid of?" The question hung between them, demanding honesty. Olivia placed both hands on her belly, gathering courage. "I'm afraid of believing in something that might disappear," she finally admitted. "Nathan seemed perfect too, until reality interfered with his plans." "I'm not Nathan," Adrian said quietly. "I know that logically, but emotionally." She struggled to articulate her fears. "You're offering so much, Adrian. Your time, your resources, yourself. What happens when you realize what you're really signing up for?" "What am I signing up for? Midnight feedings, diaper explosions, a baby that isn't biologically yours, with a mother who comes with considerable baggage." Adrian moved to sit beside her on the couch, taking her hands in his. "Let me tell you what I see when I look at our future. I see challenges, absolutely. I see adjustments and compromises and probably some arguments." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "But I also see joy, watching you become the amazing mother I know you'll be, building a family based on choice rather than obligation, creating a home where love is the foundation, not biology or convenience." Tears gathered in Olivia's eyes. "How can you be so certain?" "Because in 34 years, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you." His voice dropped to a whisper. "I love you, Olivia, and I already love this child, not because I have to, but because she's part of you." The words Olivia had protected herself from hoping for hung in the air between them. She searched his face for any sign of insincerity, finding only open vulnerability. "I love you too," she whispered back, "and that terrifies me." Adrian gathered her in his arms, her belly pressed between them, the baby kicking as if participating in the emotional moment. "Being terrified together is better than being certain alone," he murmured against her hair. "We'll figure out the rest as we go." That night marked a turning point. Though Olivia's fears didn't vanish completely, she made a conscious choice to embrace possibility rather than guard against disappointment. Small steps signaled this shift, leaving personal items at Adrian's home, discussing post-birth arrangements that included him, allowing herself to imagine a future beyond just survival. Neither could have predicted how soon their newfound trust would be tested, or how publicly their private relationship would be challenged. True character reveals itself in challenging times, friends. We've watched Olivia begin to lower her defenses, and Adrian demonstrate genuine commitment beyond surface-level attraction, but the real test is still to come. Will Adrian stand by Olivia when faced with public scrutiny and professional consequences? Can Olivia fully trust again after such profound betrayal? Share this video if you believe in seeing beyond appearances and looking into someone's heart rather than their circumstances. In our next segment, we'll witness the dramatic confrontation that brings everything to a head and changes their lives forever. 2 weeks before her due date, Olivia maneuvered her heavily pregnant body through the medical supply shelves. The storage room offered blessed quiet compared to the busy hospital corridors. She checked inventory methodically, finding comfort in the routine task despite her swollen feet and aching back. Voices outside the partially open door halted her movements. "Hayes is being played," Dr. Wade's unmistakable voice declared. She saw dollar signs and crafted the perfect sob story. Olivia froze, a package of gauze clutched in her trembling hands. "The timing is suspicious," another voice agreed. "Dr. Peters from cardiology. Gets pregnant, gets dumped, immediately hooks a billionaire." Blood rushed to Olivia's face as she pressed herself against the metal shelving. At 8.5 months pregnant, there was nowhere to hide, nothing to do but listen as her colleagues tore her character to shreds. "She's probably not even sure who the father is," Dr. Wade continued with a cruel laugh. "Hayes is a smart businessman, but men think with—" Olivia's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd endured months of whispers and sidelong glances, but never such explicit cruelty. These weren't anonymous hospital gossips, but respected physicians whose opinions shaped departmental attitudes. Her hands cradled her belly protectively, as if shielding her daughter from their venom. For the first time since Nathan's departure, tears threatened to overwhelm her professional composure. "Classic gold digger strategy," Dr. Wade continued. "Find a successful man with a savior complex, add a tragic backstory, watch the money flow." "But why would Hayes fall for it?" Dr. Peters questioned. "He's usually so shrewd. Men have blind spots when attractive women are involved," Dr. Wade replied. "Especially when there's a baby involved. Appeals to their primal instincts." Olivia's knees weakened. Every doubt she'd fought, every fear that people viewed her relationship with Adrian as transactional rather than genuine, was being confirmed in the cruelest possible way. "That's quite enough." The temperature in the hallway seemed to drop several degrees as Adrian Hayes' voice cut through the gossip, cold as ice and twice as dangerous. Olivia's hand flew to her mouth to stifle a gasp. "Mr. Hayes," Dr. Wade stammered, "we were just spreading malicious gossip about one of the most dedicated healthcare professionals in this hospital." "Yes, I heard." Through the crack in the door, Olivia could see Adrian's tall figure, his normally warm eyes now hard with controlled anger as he confronted her tormentors. "Sir, we meant no disrespect, but you should know." "What I know," Adrian cut in, "is that Olivia Chen works tirelessly for her patients while enduring unwarranted cruelty from colleagues who should know better. What I know is that she has never asked me for anything besides respect." Silence fell in the corridor. "Dr. Wade, I believe the hospital board would be interested to hear about your professional conduct. As for my relationship with Nurse Chen, it is built on mutual respect and affection, concepts you clearly struggle to understand." "Mr. Hayes," Dr. Wade attempted recovery. "As a friend, I felt obligated to warn you. We are not friends," Adrian stated flatly. "Friends don't attempt character assassination of people I care about. Furthermore, I find it profoundly disturbing that a physician in your position would participate in workplace harassment of a pregnant colleague. Harassment is an extreme characterization. Is it? Then you wouldn't mind repeating your comments in front of HR and hospital administration? I recorded this entire exchange." Dr. Wade blanched visibly. "That won't be necessary." "I disagree," Adrian replied. "Accountability is absolutely necessary." The confrontation continued, but Olivia's attention shifted as a strange sensation washed over her, a tightening across her abdomen, stronger than the Braxton Hicks contractions she'd experienced previously. She leaned against the shelving, breathing deeply until it passed. When she refocused on the conversation outside, Adrian was speaking with quiet intensity. "Olivia Chen represents everything this hospital should value: dedication, excellence, compassion. That you would reduce her to crude stereotypes says far more about your character than hers." Heavy footsteps approached the storage room. Olivia quickly busied herself with inventory as the door opened wider. "Olivia?" Adrian's voice was gentle now. She turned, unable to hide the emotion on her face. "You heard?" "I heard enough," he confirmed, approaching her. "Are you okay?" "I'm used to it," she said quietly, the lie transparent even to her own ears. "You shouldn't have to be—" Adrian took her hands. "I don't care what anyone thinks about us. I know the truth." Another contraction gripped Olivia, stronger this time. She gasped, clutching her belly. "Olivia?" Alarm filled Adrian's voice. "I'm fine, it's just—" Another contraction hit, more powerful than the last. She looked down in shock as liquid pooled at her feet. "My water broke." Adrian's eyes widened. "The baby's coming. Now." "It's too early," Olivia whispered, professional knowledge warring with personal fear. "I'm only 38 weeks. Early, but within normal range," Adrian replied, surprising her with his calm recall of information from their birthing classes. "Let's get you to labor and delivery." As he supported her toward the door, Dr. Wade and Dr. Peters still stood frozen in the hallway, witnessing the unfolding drama with undisguised shock. "Excuse us," Adrian said coldly. "Nurse Chen is in labor." Dr. Wade stepped forward, medical training temporarily overriding his personal animosity. "Do you need assistance?" "Not from you," Adrian replied, his arm steady around Olivia's waist as another contraction began. "I believe you've done enough damage today." What followed was a blur of activity. Diana Patel spotted them in the corridor and immediately took charge, calling for a wheelchair and alerting labor and delivery. Colleagues transformed from gossips to professionals as Olivia was rushed to the maternity ward. Contractions 4 minutes apart and strong, Diana informed the obstetrical team as they transferred Olivia to a birthing suite. "Water broke approximately 10 minutes ago." Dr. Lisa Mercer, the attending obstetrician, examined Olivia quickly. "You're already 5 centimeters dilated. This baby's in a hurry." "First-time mothers usually labor longer," Olivia said, medical knowledge temporarily overtaking her role as patient. Dr. Mercer smiled. "Your daughter didn't read the textbook. Let's get you comfortable and monitored." Throughout the preparations, Adrian never left Olivia's side. He held her hand through contractions, wiped her brow, and whispered encouragement. When a nurse offered him scrubs to change into, he hesitated. "Go," Olivia urged between contractions. "I'll be fine for 2 minutes." When he returned, she was breathing through another powerful contraction, her face contorted with effort. "You're doing brilliantly," Adrian said, resuming his position beside her. "I'm terrified," Olivia admitted, the vulnerability of labor stripping away her usual self-sufficiency. "I know," he replied, pressing his forehead to hers. "But you're not alone. Not anymore." Hours compressed into a sequence of intense moments. Olivia, who had coached countless patients through medical procedures, now experienced the other side of healthcare, the vulnerability, the pain, the dependency on others' expertise. Complications arose as labor progressed. The baby's heart rate showed concerning decelerations during contractions. "We need to consider intervention," Dr. Mercer explained. "The cord may be compressed during contractions." Fear flashed across Olivia's face. Adrian squeezed her hand reassuringly. "What are our options?" he asked, his calm voice grounding Olivia amid mounting anxiety. Dr. Mercer explained the possibilities. Assisted delivery, emergency cesarean if necessary. Olivia, drawing on her medical knowledge, asked precise questions despite her exhaustion. "I trust you," she finally told Dr. Mercer. "Whatever is safest for the baby." As if responding to her mother's voice, the baby's heart rate stabilized during the next check. Dr. Mercer smiled. "Let's continue and see how you progress. You're at 8 centimeters now." The final phase of labor tested Olivia's endurance beyond anything she'd experienced. Adrian supported her physically and emotionally, his steady presence a constant as pain crested and receded. "I can't do this," she gasped during a particularly overwhelming contraction. "You are doing it," Adrian corrected gently. "One breath at a time. It's time to push," Dr. Mercer announced after checking Olivia's progress. "The baby's head is engaged." What followed was a primal battle between Olivia's body and the forces of nature. Adrian held her shoulders, counted through pushes, and offered ice chips between contractions. His unwavering support anchored her through the overwhelming intensity. "One more big push," Dr. Mercer encouraged. "The head is crowning." With a final, powerful effort, Olivia felt the strange sliding sensation of her daughter entering the world. A tiny, indignant cry filled the room. "She's here," Dr. Mercer announced, placing the squirming, vernix-covered newborn on Olivia's chest. "Congratulations." Tears streamed down Olivia's face as she cradled her daughter for the first time. "Hello, little one," she whispered. "We've been waiting for you." When she looked up at Adrian, she found him openly weeping, his expression a mixture of awe and overwhelming emotion. "She's perfect," he managed, one finger gently touching the baby's tiny hand. "Absolutely perfect." As the medical team efficiently handled the post-birth procedures, Adrian and Olivia remained in their own world, marveling at the tiny person they now held. "What's her name?" a nurse asked, clipboard ready for the birth certificate. Olivia looked at Adrian, a question in her eyes. They had discussed names but made no final decision, the uncertainty of their relationship status complicating even this choice. "Lily," Olivia said softly. "Lily Chen." "Lily," Adrian repeated, testing the name. "It's beautiful, strong but delicate." As Olivia was cleaned and settled into a recovery room, Adrian never left Lily's side during her initial examination and first bath. When he returned with the swaddled newborn, his face showed a transformation. A man irrevocably changed by witnessing the miracle of birth. "Thank you for staying," Olivia replied, the simple words encompassing all that had passed between them, the gossip, the defense, the labor, the birth. In the quiet of the recovery room, as Lily slept peacefully against her mother's chest, Adrian made a decision that had been forming in his heart for months. But that moment, and the question it would bring, would wait until Olivia had rested. For now, it was enough to sit beside the two most important people in his world, marveling at how a chance meeting had led to this perfect, unexpected family. The first night of Lily's life passed in a blur of nurse check-ins, feeding attempts, and overwhelming emotions. Olivia, despite her medical training, felt the same mixture of wonder and terror that all new parents experience. Each tiny sneeze sent her into alert assessment mode. "Is that normal?" Adrian asked, after Lily's third consecutive hiccup attack. "Completely," Olivia assured him, then added with a small laugh, "At least, that's what I tell my patients. It feels different when it's your own baby." Adrian hadn't left the hospital room once. He'd canceled meetings, rearranged his entire schedule, and instructed his assistant to hold all calls except emergencies. He slept awkwardly in the visitor chair, refusing more comfortable accommodations. "I'm not missing a moment," he insisted when Olivia suggested he go home to rest. During a 3 a.m. feeding, as Olivia struggled to position Lily correctly at her breast, Adrian sat beside her on the bed, providing silent support and adjusting pillows until they found the right arrangement. When Lily finally latched successfully, their triumphant exchange of smiles held more intimacy than any previous moment in their relationship. "Look what we figured out together," Olivia whispered. "First of many parenting victories," Adrian replied, his finger gently stroking Lily's tiny foot. By morning, hospital staff had grown accustomed to the unusual sight of a CEO in wrinkled clothes, hair disheveled, completely absorbed in learning how to change diapers and swaddle a newborn. "You've got a good one there," the night nurse told Olivia during a vital check. "Most men, especially important ones, don't dive in like that." Olivia watched Adrian across the room, carefully bathing Lily with such concentration you'd think he was handling precious artifacts. "He's not most men," she agreed softly. 3 days later, Olivia and Lily were cleared for discharge. Adrian had arranged a professional car service with an infant seat already installed. The drive to Olivia's apartment was silent, both adults hyper-aware of the tiny passenger in the back seat. At her door, Adrian hesitated. "I had your fridge stocked and cleaning service come through yesterday. Everything should be ready." "You're not coming in?" Olivia asked, surprised. "I didn't want to presume," he explained. "This is your space with Lily. I thought you might want time alone to settle in." The consideration behind his words, putting her comfort above his desire to stay close, confirmed what Olivia had been gradually accepting throughout their hospital stay. This man truly loved her, not from obligation or fascination, but with genuine, thoughtful commitment. "Please stay," she said simply. "We want you here." Their first evening at home established new patterns. Adrian heated soup while Olivia nursed Lily. They ate one-handed, taking turns holding the baby. When exhaustion overtook Olivia, Adrian insisted she sleep while he watched over Lily in the living room. Olivia woke hours later to find them both asleep on the sofa. Adrian reclined with tiny Lily secure on his chest, his hand protectively spanning her entire back. The sight brought tears to her eyes. In sleep, their connection was undeniable, biology irrelevant to the bond already forming. She watched them for long minutes, making a decision that had been building since that moment in the storage room when Adrian had defended her without knowing she was listening. When Lily stirred and Adrian's eyes opened, Olivia was sitting beside them. "Move in with us," she said without preamble. "Not eventually. Now." Adrian blinked, still half asleep. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more certain of anything," Olivia replied. "We're better together, all three of us." His smile dawned slowly, brilliantly. "Yes. Absolutely yes." For 2 weeks they existed in the newborn bubble, a timeless stretch of feeding, changing, soothing, and brief periods of sleep. Adrian proved himself invaluable, handling household tasks and middle-of-night wakings with cheerful determination. "How are you still functioning?" Olivia asked one morning, finding him preparing breakfast after a particularly rough night. "Adrenaline and joy," he replied, sliding a plate of eggs toward her. "Eat while you can." On Lily's 2-week birthday, Diana Patel visited, bringing dinner and hospital news. The board meeting about Dr. Wade was yesterday, she informed them, as they ate. "He's been placed on administrative leave pending investigation into professional conduct." "What about Dr. Peters?" Olivia asked, written warning. "He's playing the just following along card." Diana rolled her eyes. "The hospital's implementing a zero-tolerance policy for workplace harassment. Your experience is changing things, Olivia." After Diana left, Olivia found Adrian in the nursery, watching Lily sleep in her crib. His expression was contemplative, almost nervous. "Everything okay?" she asked softly. He turned, taking her hand and leading her to the living room. "There's something I need to ask you." Adrian reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Instead of dropping to one knee in traditional fashion, he sat beside her on the couch, their hands intertwined. "I've been carrying this for weeks," he admitted. "I bought it after our first symphony date. I knew then what I know with even more certainty now." He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, elegant and understated, perfectly matching Olivia's taste. "I've been waiting for the right moment, but I'm realizing there's no perfect timing when you have a newborn," he smiled. "Our life together has already begun, Olivia. I'm watching you become the amazing mother I knew you would be. I'm falling more in love with you every sleep-deprived day." Tears gathered in Olivia's eyes as he continued. "I don't want to be just Lily's stepfather someday. I want to be her dad from the beginning. I want us to be a family in every sense." His voice grew husky with emotion. "Olivia Chen, will you and Lily do me the honor of becoming my family? Will you marry me?" Olivia's tears spilled over. "Are you sure? This isn't obligation or—" "This is love," Adrian said firmly, "pure and simple." "Then yes," Olivia whispered, "we'll be your family." As the ring slipped onto her finger, Lily began crying from the nursery. Perfect timing that made them both laugh through tears. "Family life already," Adrian said, pulling Olivia into his arms. The transformation happened gradually. Adrian's clothes appeared in Olivia's closet. His premium coffee maker found permanent residence on her counter. Within a month, they had made the practical decision to move to his larger home, with its generous nursery space and private garden. They married in a small ceremony when Lily was 3 months old. The baby wore a dress that matched her mother's simple ivory gown. Adrian's vows included promises not only to Olivia, but to Lily as well. "I will love you as my own," he pledged, cradling the infant. "I will protect you, guide you, and support your dreams, whatever they may be." At Pinecrest Hospital, the aftermath of Dr. Wade's behavior created unexpected positive change. The board investigation expanded beyond his comments about Olivia, uncovering a pattern of harassment toward female staff. When several residents came forward with similar experiences, his administrative leave became permanent dismissal. The hospital implemented comprehensive anti-harassment training and established clear reporting procedures for workplace concerns. Administration appointed Diana Patel to head a new committee on professional conduct, recognizing her long-standing advocacy for staff dignity. For Olivia, returning from maternity leave brought both challenges and opportunities. Adrian's foundation had approved funding for her multilingual patient education program, but she insisted on earning implementation leadership through merit rather than connection. "I want this on my own terms," she explained. "No special treatment." Adrian respected her boundaries, keeping his foundation role separate from her professional advancement. When Pinecrest created a new position, Director of Patient Education Initiatives, Olivia applied through standard channels, presenting her qualifications and vision to the selection committee. Her appointment 6 months later came with congratulations from Dr. Kaplan. "This has nothing to do with your personal connections, Chen. Your proposal was simply the best. We need your perspective and leadership." The role allowed Olivia to maintain clinical practice while developing educational resources that bridged language and cultural barriers. Her first major achievement, a comprehensive translation system with cultural competency training, reduced medication errors among non-English-speaking patients by 40%. At home, Adrian and Olivia settled into partnership that balanced career ambitions with family priorities. They established routines that honored both their professional contributions and their commitment to being present parents. When Adrian received International Innovation Awards, Olivia stood proudly beside him. When her patient education program gained national recognition, Adrian handled midnight feedings so she could perfect her acceptance speech. Most evenings found them together in the nursery, watching Lily discover her world with wonder and determination that mirrored both her parents' best qualities. "She has your focus," Adrian observed, as Lily concentrated intently on stacking blocks. "And your persistence," Olivia countered when the tower inevitably fell, and Lily immediately began rebuilding. In these quiet moments, the journey that had brought them together, from hospital corridors to family home, seemed both miraculous and inevitable. What had begun in gossip and judgment had transformed into something neither could have predicted. A family built on choice rather than obligation, on seeing the truth in each other when others saw only circumstances. The first night of Lily's life passed in a blur of nurse check-ins, feeding attempts, and overwhelming emotions. Olivia, despite her medical training, felt the same mixture of wonder and terror that all new parents experience. Each tiny sneeze sent her into alert assessment mode. "Is that normal?" Adrian asked after Lily's third consecutive hiccup attack. "Completely," Olivia assured him, then added with a small laugh, "At least, that's what I tell my patients. It feels different when it's your own baby." Adrian hadn't left the hospital room once. He'd canceled meetings, rearranged his entire schedule, and instructed his assistant to hold all calls except emergencies. He slept awkwardly in the visitor chair, refusing more comfortable accommodations. "I'm not missing a moment," he insisted when Olivia suggested he go home to rest. During a 3 a.m. feeding, as Olivia struggled to position Lily correctly at her breast, Adrian sat beside her on the bed, providing silent support and adjusting pillows until they found the right arrangement. When Lily finally latched successfully, their triumphant exchange of smiles held more intimacy than any previous moment in their relationship. "Look what we figured out together," Olivia whispered. "First of many parenting victories," Adrian replied, his finger gently stroking Lily's tiny foot. By morning, hospital staff had grown accustomed to the unusual sight of a CEO in wrinkled clothes, hair disheveled, completely absorbed in learning how to change diapers and swaddle a newborn. "You've got a good one there," the night nurse told Olivia during a vital check. "Most men, especially important ones, don't dive in like that." Olivia watched Adrian across the room, carefully bathing Lily with such concentration you'd think he was handling precious artifacts. "He's not most men," she agreed softly. 3 days later, Olivia and Lily were cleared for discharge. Adrian had arranged a professional car service with an infant seat already installed. The drive to Olivia's apartment was silent, both adults hyper-aware of the tiny passenger in the back seat. At her door, Adrian hesitated. "I had your fridge stocked and cleaning service come through yesterday. Everything should be ready." "You're not coming in?" Olivia asked, surprised. "I didn't want to presume," he explained. "This is your space with Lily. I thought you might want time alone to settle in." The consideration behind his words, putting her comfort above his desire to stay close, confirmed what Olivia had been gradually accepting throughout their hospital stay. This man truly loved her, not from obligation or fascination, but with genuine, thoughtful commitment. "Please stay," she said simply. "We want you here." Their first evening at home established new patterns. Adrian heated soup while Olivia nursed Lily. They ate one-handed, taking turns holding the baby. When exhaustion overtook Olivia, Adrian insisted she sleep while he watched over Lily in the living room. Olivia woke hours later to find them both asleep on the sofa. Adrian reclined with tiny Lily secure on his chest, his hand protectively spanning her entire back. The sight brought tears to her eyes. In sleep, their connection was undeniable, biology irrelevant to the bond already forming. She watched them for long minutes, making a decision that had been building since that moment in the storage room when Adrian had defended her without knowing she was listening. When Lily stirred and Adrian's eyes opened, Olivia was sitting beside them. "Move in with us," she said without preamble. "Not eventually. Now." Adrian blinked, still half asleep. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more certain of anything," Olivia replied. "We're better together, all three of us." His smile dawned slowly, brilliantly. "Yes. Absolutely yes." For 2 weeks they existed in the newborn bubble, a timeless stretch of feeding, changing, soothing and brief periods of sleep. Adrian proved himself invaluable, handling household tasks and middle-of-night wakings with cheerful determination. "How are you still functioning?" Olivia asked one morning, finding him preparing breakfast after a particularly rough night. "Adrenaline and joy," he replied, sliding a plate of eggs toward her. "Eat while you can." On Lily's 2-week birthday, Diana Patel visited, bringing dinner and hospital news. The board meeting about Dr. Wade was yesterday, she informed them, as they ate. "He's been placed on administrative leave pending investigation into professional conduct." "What about Dr. Peters?" Olivia asked, written warning. "He's playing the just following along card." Diana rolled her eyes. "The hospital's implementing a zero-tolerance policy for workplace harassment. Your experience is changing things, Olivia." After Diana left, Olivia found Adrian in the nursery, watching Lily sleep in her crib. His expression was contemplative, almost nervous. "Everything okay?" she asked softly. He turned, taking her hand and leading her to the living room. "There's something I need to ask you." Adrian reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Instead of dropping to one knee in traditional fashion, he sat beside her on the couch, their hands intertwined. "I've been carrying this for weeks," he admitted. "I bought it after our first symphony date. I knew then what I know with even more certainty now." He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring, elegant and understated, perfectly matching Olivia's taste. "I've been waiting for the right moment, but I'm realizing there's no perfect timing when you have a newborn," he smiled. "Our life together has already begun, Olivia. I'm watching you become the amazing mother I knew you would be. I'm falling more in love with you every sleep-deprived day." Tears gathered in Olivia's eyes as he continued, "I don't want to be just Lily's stepfather someday. I want to be her dad from the beginning. I want us to be a family in every sense." His voice grew husky with emotion. "Olivia Chen, will you and Lily do me the honor of becoming my family? Will you marry me?" Olivia's tears spilled over. "Are you sure? This isn't obligation or—" "This is love," Adrian said firmly, "pure and simple." "Then yes," Olivia whispered, "we'll be your family." As the ring slipped onto her finger, Lily began crying from the nursery. Perfect timing that made them both laugh through tears. "Family life already," Adrian said, pulling Olivia into his arms. The transformation happened gradually. Adrian's clothes appeared in Olivia's closet. His premium coffee maker found permanent residence on her counter. Within a month, they had made the practical decision to move to his larger home, with its generous nursery space and private garden. They married in a small ceremony when Lily was 3 months old. The baby wore a dress that matched her mother's simple ivory gown. Adrian's vows included promises not only to Olivia, but to Lily as well. "I will love you as my own," he pledged, cradling the infant. "I will protect you, guide you, and support your dreams, whatever they may be." At Pinecrest Hospital, the aftermath of Dr. Wade's behavior created unexpected positive change. The board investigation expanded beyond his comments about Olivia, uncovering a pattern of harassment toward female staff. When several residents came forward with similar experiences, his administrative leave became permanent dismissal. The hospital implemented comprehensive anti-harassment training and established clear reporting procedures for workplace concerns. Administration appointed Diana Patel to head a new committee on professional conduct, recognizing her long-standing advocacy for staff dignity. For Olivia, returning from maternity leave brought both challenges and opportunities. Adrian's foundation had approved funding for her multilingual patient education program, but she insisted on earning implementation leadership through merit rather than connection. "I want this on my own terms," she explained. "No special treatment." Adrian respected her boundaries, keeping his foundation role separate from her professional advancement. When Pinecrest created a new position, Director of Patient Education Initiatives, Olivia applied through standard channels, presenting her qualifications and vision to the selection committee. Her appointment 6 months later came with congratulations from Dr. Kaplan. "This has nothing to do with your personal connections, Chen. Your proposal was simply the best. We need your perspective and leadership." The role allowed Olivia to maintain clinical practice while developing educational resources that bridged language and cultural barriers. Her first major achievement, a comprehensive translation system with cultural competency training, reduced medication errors among non-English-speaking patients by 40%. At home, Adrian and Olivia settled into partnership that balanced career ambitions with family priorities. They established routines that honored both their professional contributions and their commitment to being present parents. When Adrian received International Innovation Awards, Olivia stood proudly beside him. When her patient education program gained national recognition, Adrian handled midnight feedings so she could perfect her acceptance speech. Most evenings found them together in the nursery, watching Lily discover her world with wonder and determination that mirrored both her parents' best qualities. "She has your focus," Adrian observed, as Lily concentrated intently on stacking blocks. "And your persistence," Olivia countered when the tower inevitably fell, and Lily immediately began rebuilding. In these quiet moments, the journey that had brought them together, from hospital corridors to family home, seemed both miraculous and inevitable. What had begun in gossip and judgment had transformed into something neither could have predicted. A family built on choice rather than obligation, on seeing the truth in each other when others saw only circumstances. The garden was alive with laughter and sunlight as friends and family gathered to celebrate Sophia's first birthday. Balloons and soft pastels swayed gently in the summer breeze, and a colorful banner stretched between 2 trees read, "Happy birthday, Sophia." Sophia, now a lively toddler with her father's bright eyes and her mother's determined spirit, sat in a high chair, eagerly smashing a small cake with her chubby hands. Frosting covered her cheeks and fingers, and her delighted giggles filled the air. Olivia stood nearby, watching her daughter with a mixture of pride and wonder. Adrian, holding a plate of cake, leaned in to whisper, "She's growing up fast." Olivia smiled, resting her hand on Adrian's arm. "It feels like yesterday we were in that hospital room, overwhelmed and exhausted." Adrian nodded. "And now look at her, full of life and curiosity. We've come a long way." The path that led them here had been anything but easy. Olivia's journey from abandonment and workplace cruelty to motherhood and love had tested her strength in ways she never imagined. Adrian's unwavering support had been a beacon through the darkest moments, but it was Olivia's resilience that truly shaped their story. "Do you ever think about how different things could have been?" Olivia asked quietly. "Sometimes," Adrian admitted. "But I believe everything happened exactly as it should. Every challenge brought us closer." Their shared experiences had forged a bond deeper than romance, a partnership built on trust, respect, and mutual growth. Olivia's courage to face judgment and Adrian's willingness to stand by her had transformed not only their lives but also the culture at Pinecrest Hospital. As Sophia reached for a balloon drifting just out of reach, Olivia reflected on what family meant to her now. It wasn't defined by biology or circumstance, but by love, commitment, and acceptance. "Family is who shows up," she said softly. "Who stands with you when the world turns its back." Adrian squeezed her hand. "And who chooses to build a future together, no matter the obstacles." Their home was filled with warmth, laughter, and the promise of new beginnings. They had created a space where Sophia could grow surrounded by love, where past wounds were acknowledged but no longer held power. Looking forward, Olivia and Adrian embraced the possibilities ahead. Olivia's role as Director of Patient Education continued to expand, influencing healthcare practices beyond Pinecrest. Adrian's foundation launched new initiatives inspired by Olivia's work, bridging gaps in care for underserved communities. Together they planned for Sophia's future, education, travel, and the values they hoped to instill. Their partnership was a testament to the strength found in vulnerability and the beauty of unexpected love. Stories like this remind us that everyone deserves to be seen for who they truly are, not their circumstances, rumors, or past mistakes. If Olivia and Adrian's journey touched your heart, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our community. Every week, we share life-changing stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us of the power of compassion and resilience. Thank you for being part of Mr. Ross' story trail. Until next time, keep believing in the strength of the human spirit.